Good evening, everyone. It's a little past 7, so we're going to get started with the meeting. As you can probably tell, I am not Jill Cayazzo. Jill had a conflict tonight, so I'll be leading the meeting. My name is Maggie Davis. I'm the Deputy Chair of the Arlington Democrats. Really glad that you're able to join us this evening. We have a lot of material to get through, as well as some candidate announcements that we're looking forward to. So I would like to start with something that we always do here at the Arlington Democrats. We're a really action-oriented organization, as many of you know. So right now, well, I know some of you are on computers, so either open up another tab in your browser or take out your phone and join us in our Flash Social Media Challenge. So we are this month looking to promote our new volunteer open house that's going to be done virtually to follow public health guidance. But we're really trying to promote getting more volunteers engaged with the Arlington Dems. So if you go to Facebook, pinned at the top of the Arlington Democrats Facebook page, you will see this post. There's a screenshot of it here saying join us. And we mean that really authentically. We're looking for volunteers that are maybe looking to get involved. Maybe they were helping out in 2020 races. Maybe they helped in Georgia and are trying to figure out how to get involved locally. Virginia has some of the most exciting politics around coming up for 2021 with statewide races. We're one of only 2 states with a governor's race this year. And we're hoping to get these volunteers engaged here in the party. So if you wouldn't mind going to Facebook and sharing the post within your feeds, that might bring in some more potential volunteers that want to get involved in the Arlington Democrats. So hopefully that me talking is taking enough time for you to find the post, to share it. And we do hope that if you are interested joining the meeting, you would join us for this new volunteer open house. It's a great event to really just get to know ways to volunteer here locally within the Arlington Democrats. And a huge thank you to our volunteer coordinator, Nancy Pilchin, for putting it together. So with that, again, we are a very action-oriented organization here in the Arlington Democrats. We have another call to action. So as some of you might have been following, Virginia is part of what is called a right to work state. These so-called right to work laws are viewed as being very anti-union and anti-labor. And it's one of the unfortunate notices that Virginia, while being one of the top states in the country for business, is one of the lowest ranked states in terms of labor and worker protections. So the Arlington Dem Steering Committee this past weekend voted to join the Repeal Right to Work Coalition as a steering committee. And one of the things the coalition's working on is trying to support House Bill 1755. We're calling on interested Democrats to reach out to your legislators about supporting House Bill 1755, which I believe some of our representatives are co-patrons of this bill. So it is something we really do care about here with the Arlington Dems. And I think if you're missing the link, yeah, Lisa, just put it in the chat if you would like to read some more information about the call to action. So with that, on to business. So we do have a few voting items here for this evening. The first of which is appointments to our steering committee and precinct captain elections. And I realize as I'm saying this, Carol, you might have had this in your slides.
No, Maggie, I'm counting on you to get the votes.
All right.
Yeah, no, they're right there. Those are the names, and then I'm gonna congratulate them.
Excellent. And that is Carol Fontaine, our great precinct operations chair. So the steering committee approved the nominations and appointments for the positions you see on the screen. Joint campaign co-chair, we're really excited to appoint Paul Ruiz to the communications position there, a new voter support vice chair, as well as several vice chairs and area chairs and precinct captains within the precinct operations team. So with that, I would like to call for a motion to appoint these members to the steering committee and precinct captains?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Do
Second.
I have a second?
Second.
Excellent. So with that, we have a slightly different voting procedure this month. So we're going to actually do this through a poll. So I'm going to launch the poll now. And you have, I believe, about 30 seconds to cast your vote.
Slow the spread of COVID-19. The CDC makes recommendations based on data that they accumulate because it's a science-based.
What we're doing today, please remind people to mute yourselves if you are not speaking. Thank you. And with that, that passes. You can share results if you are curious. So thank you all.
Yay.
So our next item of business, the Arlington Democrats need to select what method of nomination we would like to use for our county board race that is on the ballot this year. For some context, political parties in the Commonwealth of Virginia get to choose their method of nomination. There are three choices. The first is a primary, which is a kind of your normal polling locations, the June 8th primary, and that is run by the Arlington Electoral Office. And then there are two party-run processes that are available, either a firehouse primary or caucus, which is very similar to how we run our school board endorsement caucus, or a convention. For local races, Arlington has the choice of what method to choose. The House of Delegates races, the State Party of Virginia has already selected a primary for all of the Virginia Democratic House of Delegate races. And this past weekend, the steering committee overwhelmingly recommended that we select a primary as the method of nomination for this year's county board seat. So I would like to look for a motion to select a primary as our method of nomination for the county board this year.
So moved.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, and with that, I'm going to launch the poll. Oh, hold on. Technical difficulties. There we go. And please cast your vote. All right, and with that, I will share the results that passed. So this year we will be holding a county board primary on June 8th, provided more than one candidate files for the primary. So just so you all know, if only one candidate files, the primary by state law is canceled. So just to be transparent about that. And then some more nominations mentioned that the State Party of Virginia has already selected the method of nomination for all of our House of Delegate races. So these are going to be primaries if there are more than one candidate filed in the race. With that, we do still convene committees within each House of Delegate district to help process the filing of nominations. And I'd like to recognize our volunteers that stepped up to lead those lead those committees or serve on those committees. So for the 45th district is Fran Jackson, 47th, Jill Cayazzo, 48th, Howard Soldecki, and 49th, Corey Barton. And so they will be convening to help receive any filings for that process. All right, with that, before moving on, I just wanted to check, are there any questions from the chat? Doesn't look like it on that point, but thank you to the chat. Unfortunately, from our earlier call to action, it does appear that the House bill that we were looking to support, unfortunately, was killed in committee on a procedural vote today. So it is always quick moving down in Richmond, and it's glad that you guys are all watching as well. So the last item of business that we would like to vote on is an out of cycle bylaws change for the Arlington Democrats. So the Arlington Democrats, through the state party plan, revises its bylaws every even numbered year. So we did do a revision back in 2020, but over the past year, there have been a number of things happening. And one thing initiative the Arlington Democrats undertook last spring, early summer, was to create an inclusion and equity committee within the party. And the inclusion and equity committee was an ad hoc committee, or is an ad hoc committee, that was really looking at processes and procedures within the party and trying to figure out ways that we as a political committee can do better at including more people that look like the population of Arlington, and to really promote equity within the Arlington Democrats. So the committee has been meeting for several months, and one of the recommendations that came out of the committee was a bylaws revision. So we are proposing an out of cycle bylaws revision related to those recommendations. So the revision 1 would make this committee a permanent standing committee within the Arlington Democrats, and it would also appoint a inclusion and equity chair who out of recommendation for now would be Corey Barton, who has been working with the committee for quite some time and has also been involved in the Arlington Dems previously as a joint campaign co-chair for 2020. And the position would be a steering level, eventually elected position. So we would have an appointment to fill the remainder of this year. And then our next elections are in January of 2022. And so with that, it would really solidify this effort of trying to make sure that the Arlington Democrats is an inclusive and equitable organization. Some other recommendations that are part of this bylaws proposal is to designate a representative from each of the outreach caucuses to be voting members of the steering committee. You'll see later in the meeting tonight that we have a robust outreach team that is really doing a ton of work, and we would like to recognize the work that those leaders are doing and promote those voices on our steering committee. So it would be providing a vote to each of those committees. So with that, I would like to move for a motion or seek a motion to approve the Inclusion and Equity Committee's bylaws proposal.
So moved.
So moved.
Second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, so I'm going
Isn't it premature because we can't vote on this until next month, Maggie?
You are correct, Bob. Thank you. So Bob points, keeping us in check. I believe for bylaws proposals, we do have to present it to the committee one meeting, and then we will vote at the next meeting. So I apologize for the procedural error. So you see it here. We will have a link to the proposal available for you to review, and then we will be voting on that next meeting. So with that, I believe we have some candidate announcements. All right, so first up is Delegate Carter here.
Yes. Hey, how you doing tonight?
Doing well. Delegate Carter, so with all the candidate announcements, I believe you have 5 minutes.
Oh, good. I was told that it'd only be 3.
No, I'm sorry, then I am wrong. I am wrong.
Oh.
We need to be equitable between all of the candidate announcements across meetings.
Gotcha. All right. Well, good evening, Arlington Democrats. I am Lee Carter. I'm currently a member of the Virginia House of Delegates representing the 50th District. That is the city of Manassas and parts of Western Prince William County. You can see on my photo on the screen, wonderful Old Town Manassas behind me. And I am running for governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia because I believe that the divisions within this Commonwealth are not red versus blue. They are not urban versus rural. I believe that the divisions within this Commonwealth are between the haves and the have-nots. And I think that it's time for those of us who are not politically connected, those of us who are not well-to-do, to finally have a governor that will fight for them, a governor for the rest of us, if you will. So I don't come from a typical background for a politician. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a realtor, I'm not a retiree. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, an enlisted veteran, and an electronics repairman. And I decided to run for office initially in 2017 because I got hurt at work in the summer of 2015. And I had to deal with the Virginia workers' compensation system. And that experience was so abysmal that I started talking to delegates and senators and asking, what are you going to do about workers' comp? And nobody had an answer. So it was a very Mr. Smith goes to Washington kind of moment. I decided if this is going to get fixed, it's going to have to be by someone who has lived it. And I ran for office and I took on a fight that the Democratic Party said was impossible. I ran against Jackson Miller, who was a member of Republican Party leadership, and defeated him by an 8-point margin by building a broad, working class, multiracial coalition of people who have previously not voted in General Assembly races. I was able to go out and talk to people by the thousands and say, if you want someone in the General Assembly who will fight unabashedly for you, you have the chance to vote for that today. And you know that I'm going to fight for the things that I say I will, because I don't take a single dime from for-profit corporations or industry interest groups. I never have, and I never will. And I'm giving the people of this entire Commonwealth that same choice in the June 8th primary. You have an opportunity, Virginia, to vote for a governor that is truly different from what you have seen before. One that will actually fight for COVID relief that reimburses people's out-of-pocket expenses and builds an economy owned and operated not by faraway billionaires, but by the working people of Virginia. You have a chance to vote for a governor who will fight to legalize cannabis and use every single penny of the cannabis tax revenue for reparations for Black and Indigenous Virginians. You have a chance to vote for a governor who will unite both urban and rural Virginians in rebuilding our economy in a way that truly serves us. And you have a chance to vote for a governor who, I promise you this, our prison population will be at least 30% lower the day I leave office than it is the day I am sworn in, even if I have to sign thousands of clemency petitions myself. Arlington Democrats, you have an opportunity this June to vote for a governor, not for lawyers, not for the wealthy, but for the rest of us. I am the only candidate in this race who has never taken money from fossil fuel corporations in my career. I am the only candidate in this race who has never taken money from big banks in my career. And I promise you, Arlington Democrats, I will fight for everyone who feels left out of this political system. So once again, my name is Lee Carter. I want to be your next governor. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. That was time. And I'm sure Delegate Carter is going to put information in the chat for anyone interested in learning more about his campaign, or someone will. So there's always ways to get in contact. Up next, I believe we have Delegate Guzman.
Yes, here.
Wait, am I looking at the wrong?
Yeah, skip that one. Sorry. She
Okay.
couldn't make it.
All right. So Delegate Guzman, similarly, you have 3 minutes whenever you're ready.
All right. Good evening, Arlington Democrats. Thank you for having me. I am Elizabeth Guzman, and I proudly represent the 31st District in the House of Delegates, which includes parts of Prince William and Fauquier counties. I'm a social worker, a public administrator, a union sister, a mother to 4 children, but most importantly, I'm a fighter for working people, marginalized communities, and progressive values. And I'm honored to be with you here tonight as I discuss my historic bid to become the first woman and the first woman of color to serve as your next lieutenant governor. When I first came to this country as a young single mother with $300 and a little girl, I worked 3 minimum wage jobs with no benefits to afford a 1-bedroom apartment. I eventually worked my way through community college and earned 2 master's degrees. And I built a 17-year career in human services and local government right here in Virginia. And that includes working in the administration of Fairfax County Public Schools, Fairfax County government, before I became a social worker who protected children from neglect and abuse. I am now a public administrator, overseeing a $20 million budget for a 200-person operations staff for the City of Alexandria Department of Adult Services, which serves some of our most vulnerable populations, including seniors and people with substance abuse disorders. I see the position of Lieutenant Governor as a promotion for a successful legislator, someone who has delivered on the promises they have made. In my first 3 years in the General Assembly, I passed 19 bills in the areas of healthcare, education, the environment, workers' rights, and criminal justice reform. I'm currently serving as the Vice Chair of the Education Committee, and I was named the Legislator of the Year by the Virginia Education Association and the Fairfax Federation of Teachers. I co-founded the Virginia Green New Deal and was named Legislator of the Year by the League of Conservation Voters. And I am the only candidate in this race to have been endorsed by labor unions and by CASA in Action, which is the largest electoral organization fighting for immigrant rights in the Mid-Atlantic. So tonight, I'm asking you to join Team Guzman, because if Democrats are going to hold our trifecta in 2021, we need a coalition builder who will listen and fight unapologetically for progressive change. I know this because I did it, as I campaigned across Virginia in leadership roles for both the Bernie Sanders campaign and the Joe Biden campaign. And if you want to do something that's never done before, which is to elect a woman as your next lieutenant governor, then we need to build something that's never been built before. We need to build a coalition across Virginia of women, young people, people of color, immigrants, seniors, workers, progressives. And I hope if you are with us, because we have so much work to do. Recover from this pandemic, achieve racial justice, get healthcare for all, raise teacher pay, and build the best public school in the country for all children, no matter what their zip code, tackle the climate emergency, and build a Virginia that is #1, not only for business, but also for workers. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Guzman. And similarly, I'm sure Delegate Guzman or someone from her team will put information in the chat if you are interested in getting more involved in their campaign. All right, so up next is Mr. Perryman on?
Here.
Excellent. Or hopefully you're ready. Yeah. All right. So like all the other candidates, you have 3 minutes.
Got it. I'm going to try not to get cut off. I really appreciate you for having me. Thank you so much for all the work that you do. I used to be a member of the Fairfax Democratic Committee, so I know how hard it is, and it's especially challenging during this pandemic. But for those on the line, my name is Sean Perryman. I'm running for Lieutenant Governor here in Virginia. This is not a statement that I thought I would say probably if you asked me this time last year, but what led me here, and I'm going to share in the chat my video that we actually released this week, just so that people have it and you can learn more about me. But I started my journey to this position really through my work in the community. I was the former president of the Fairfax County NAACP, the youngest president in its 102-year history. And I was, like I said, also a Democratic activist. But we were working in our community and we were winning on the issues that Democrats sometimes didn't want to touch. It was things like Robert E. Lee High School, which a Democratic school board would do nothing about. We took it on and we got it changed to John Lewis High School. There were issues with the police and accountability as far as releasing data. And we went and we took that on and we made them release up to 5 years worth of data. And we also changed the first responder system. So I saw the power of getting into community, building coalitions, broad coalitions around these ideas and winning. But when the pandemic hit, I also saw that again, like so many other issues, the Black and brown communities were being hit first and harshest. And a lot of our representatives, whether Democrat or Republican, didn't seem to get the issue, whether it was George Floyd and police reform, or whether it was things like paid sick leave, which Delegate Guzman has led on, or right to work. We see time and time again, we don't have people that are fighting on these issues. So this is why I decided to step up and run. And while I haven't been an elected official before, I was a counsel for the House Oversight Committee, advised the Democratic members on that committee for a number of years. Prior to that, I was an attorney and I've been practicing for 10 years now. And what I'm hoping to do is take my work in grassroots advocacy, working on the Hill and law, and bring that to the statewide level. One of the issues that I see time and time again here is broadband internet access. I'm someone who works in tech policy now, thinking about and working on how do we solve that issue. You look at facial recognition. These are some of the problems of the future. So what I think separates me from some of the other great people that are running is that I have this mix of experience building coalitions, working in Virginia, but working deeply on these policy issues that we have to solve. Now, the lieutenant governor position is important because it breaks ties and presides over the Senate, and we will have some important ties. But I think it's an underutilized position. Rather than having someone who's going there waiting to run for the next office or looking for a pat on the back for what they've done, I'm going there because I want to do the job every day for the next 4 years and fight for people and continue to work as I've done in the community as being an advocate. So you can visit my website, perrymanforvirginia.com. We have been raising money at a great clip, and we're doing it without corporate donations, and we've been doing it all through the grassroots. So I really appreciate your time this evening. I know I'm short on it, but I left my video and I will put my website in there as well. But I hope you'll join me on this journey like so many of your colleagues have. I see my good friend JD Spain and others who have endorsed me. But thank you for your time. Sean Perryman for Virginia, and I hope to see you all soon.
All right, thank you, Mr. Perryman. And before we move on to our next speaker, I did want to mention Senator Jennifer McClellan expresses her regrets. She had hoped to join us tonight for an announcement, but is stuck in a committee hearing. So we're working with her team to reschedule for the March monthly meeting. So with that, shifting a little more local, I would like to invite current county board member Takis Karantonis. Takis.
Thank you, Maggie. Good evening, Arlington Democrats. It's really it's a nice thing to try to follow three amazing candidates who are today in Arlington. It's a great thing. I agree with those who say that it's a good thing to have these candidates in Arlington tonight. But for me, it's a different honor tonight. So good evening to everybody, especially the Blue families, the postcard writers, you callers and digital canvassers. Thanks to you, your relentless hard work, this is the first ACDC meeting on the Build Back Better track, and this makes it even more of a special honor for me to announce that I will be running for Arlington County Board again this year. I was on this agenda last month, on the 6th of January, when we had an emboldened fascist mob attacking our democracy, but we stood up on the challenge and defeated them, and we will continue defeating them. But 6 months ago, in the middle of the darkness of 2020, you gave me the honor of my life, nominating me at the end to end the term of my friend Eric Gutschall after his premature and gut-wrenching passing. I will never forget the energy, the resources, the work you all invested in that special election, and I'm forever grateful for this. The last 6 months have been in many ways exciting and at the same time very challenging. We had to hit the ground running on day one, and so we did. And your help was instrumental and enabling. I really believe, and this is why I'm running, I really believe in Arlington, and I want to help to shape our future.
All right, it looks, did we lose Takis? All right.
Yeah, it appears so.
All right. We're gonna give Takis a minute to see if he can reconnect. All right, while we are waiting for Takis to reconnect, I want to do a quick plug for an event we have coming up. We do host, if you are at all interested in running for office after seeing many fantastic candidates announced tonight and wonder, what does it take to actually run for office, either here in Arlington or statewide in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Here at the Arlington Democrats, we really believe in creating an educational programming to really help anyone interested in potentially running for office now in the future. So we host an annual prospective candidate open house. This year, the open house is going to be later this month on February 23rd. And during that open house, you'll hear from some former elected officials here in Arlington about what it was like to run for office, as well as a more detailed overview of what does a nomination process look like to get onto the ballot. So we talked earlier in the program about our method of nomination for county board, as well as the House of Delegates, which are up for re-election this year. And so we in the Arlington Democrats and myself personally have a strong preference towards a primary system when that is available. But just so you would be aware. So hopefully that gave enough delay as Taka's back on or connected. All right, not seeing it. I propose we move on, and then once Takis is able to join us again, we can give him time to finish his comments. So with that, I would like to turn the mic over to our fantastic precinct operations team led by Carol Fontaine.
Thank you, Maggie, and good evening, everybody. If I could just ask Jane Bergen to change her name on her screen from Carol Fontaine to Jane Bergen. There's one other Carol Fontaine floating out there. Totally my fault for having sent you area chairs my personal link after I had registered. So so sorry about that. And Jane, if you can't figure it out, I don't think it matters that much. So first of all, let me welcome the new members to our precinct ops team. Mark Teal is going to be our vice chair for polling locations. And then we have three new co-area chairs, Carol Simpson in Center East and Susan Tatum in King and Forrest Scholars in Longbridge. So we're very glad to have them. And we have a new precinct captain, Joe Albert in Lexington. So welcome and congratulations to all of you. Oh yeah, I forgot to say slide. And I also want to thank our outgoing area chairs, Stuart Scott in Longbridge and Scott McConnell in King. Scott is not going very far. He's going to stay with the data tech team. And fortunately, Stuart isn't going that far either. He's really not going. I mean, he doesn't know how not far he's going. We're going to keep him close. So we want to thank them both. They were great area chairs. Slide, please. So as many of you have probably figured out, Virginia is not naturally blue. We vote blue because volunteers in Northern Virginia and especially in Arlington work our tails off to get out every single last Democratic vote. Every year is an important year in Virginia. This year isn't as scary as last year, but it is still critical. We elect a new governor and our entire House of Delegates. And if we lose the governor's mansion and or the state house, it could be years before we get them back. So I hope many of you are here tonight because you want to continue to help keep Virginia blue. And precinct ops plays a big role in that. And as you might guess, precinct operations focuses at the precinct level, and we would definitely appreciate your help. You could help us strategize and plan how to get out every single vote in your neighborhood. You can be the face of the Democratic Party, and you can help us build community, which in the long run is a very, very key goal. Slide, please. The heart of precinct operations are our precinct captains. There are 54 precincts, one for each polling place. Most of our precincts have 2 precinct captains, but some of them have 3. So we have a total of 126 precinct captain slots. Precinct captains are elected representatives of the Democratic Party. We used to say, we don't say this very much anymore, that Harry Truman said that the most important job he ever had was being a precinct captain. And I don't say that very much anymore because every time I say it, I think, well, there was this little thing about the bomb, but you know, maybe we won't go into that so much. Anyway, precinct captains are key to reaching our voters where they live and encouraging them not only to vote for our candidates, but also to volunteer. And they do a lot more. as the main link for voters to the Democratic Party. They listen to their neighbors' concerns and their issues, and then they share these issues with the Democratic leadership. And so this creates a sense of community. It promotes the idea that we're all in this together. That's a really important thing. And ultimately, it builds a strong team that can maximize Democratic turnout and performance at the local, state, and federal levels. If you're interested in learning more about precinct operations and about being a precinct captain, please contact me at precinctoperations@arlingtondemocrats.org. Okay, slide. Okay, so these are the most critical of our precinct captain vacancies. You don't have to live in the precinct to be a precinct captain. If you are interested in being a precinct captain, or you know anybody you think might like to be a precinct captain in any of these precincts, again, please contact me, precinctoperations@arlingtondemocrats.org. Next slide. And the last thing that I want to talk with you tonight about is this year, we're really going to focus on, well, we're going to focus on a lot of things, but the one that I would like to ask you to participate in tonight is helping us expand our reach into high rises. Many of you might know that Arlington has more than 2,000 multi-unit buildings, and over half of Arlington's population lives in these multi-unit buildings. Many of them are inaccessible to outside groups like us, which makes it really difficult for us to share information about voting and candidates, like early voting and voter registration, who the candidates are, what the volunteer opportunities are. So we are looking for volunteers who live in high rises to help us share these kinds of information. But we want to still follow your building's protocols. You know, we're not gonna sneak in and drop things on people's doormats if that's not allowed. So if you would go to this link and give us your name and contact info and what high rise you're in, we will get back to you. It's bit.ly and help with high rises, and none of those are capitalized. Just remember bit.ly/help with high rises. If you have questions, please contact mubs@arlingtondemocrats.org. And I think that's it for me.
All right, thank you, Carol. Before moving on, did Takis, were you able to rejoin us?
I hope so. This is maybe the reason why we need a broadband authority in Arlington. So
yes. All right, Takis, you have 2 minutes.
It was on purpose, right? So I won't take so much of your time. I wanted to say, I mean, most of you know that building back better is impossible without learning the lessons of 2020. And none of my beyond COVID, which is always the #1 priority, battling the climate crisis, the economic development that puts an emphasis on small business support, infrastructure that supports our societal goals, and tackling the housing affordability crisis, and sound long-term planning with meaningful citizen participation. All of the above cannot be even be remotely advanced without addressing the challenges that are defined by our existing systemic, real, social, cultural, economic, and of course, racial equity disparities. And since some people have mentioned here that reopening schools is very important, yes, indeed it is. And reopening our economy is important. Beating COVID is the #1 priority that keeps me awake every day. So vaccines and testings that reaches first those who have been impacted the most, and is what is the #1 priority for me and my colleagues. So I look forward to engaging with you and with all Arlingtonians in an in-depth conversation about how together we will make our community a just and equitable place for all its residents without exceptions, and a place with a future in housing, education, health, economic opportunity, and life outcomes for everybody. So I also want to use the opportunity to introduce my campaign manager, Jimmy Rogers, a fellow precinct captain, And I already thank him for agreeing to help to carry our message, our democratic values, and spark 1,000 points of dialogue across Arlington. takisforarlington.com, and I look forward to seeing you in this campaign over the next months.
All right, thank you, Takis. And between Takis and Jimmy, I'm sure there will be information added to the chat about how to get involved in the campaign if you are so interested. So with that, jumping back into our order, thanks for everyone's patience with the technical difficulties. Up next is our voter support team. So Marcia, are you on?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
All right, Marcia, take it away.
Okay, so next slide, please. Hey, everybody. So we're gearing up, voter support. For those of you who, I think probably everybody on this line knows, but for those of you who don't know, voter support is our kind of umbrella term for voter registration, early voting poll greeting, rides to the polls. What else have I got? Anyway, those are some of the big ones. Senior calling, ballot chasing, all those kinds of things, just trying to really get voters to be well informed and registered and voting. So this year, we did some good things last year, and we're able to begin, in part because of COVID, where we had been doing things like voter registration strictly at Metro stops with our Metro Action under Paula Potts's leadership. Because of COVID, Metro was not really that good. So we devised our COVID safe techniques, and we started meeting people where they are. And we want to do more of that this year. This is part of cultivating democracy, is kind of the theme that we've come upon. And so, as I say, to expand our activity further into Arlington's communities, we want to deepen voter identification with the Democratic Party. And as part of that, we will continue with our COVID safe protocols as long as they are needed. This is on when we do our tabling for voter registration and information. So anyway, those are kind of overall, and I just wanted to, I can't remember what my next slide is there, Maggie, I did them last week. Anyway, I wanted to introduce the team again. They're primarily a return of great folks who did such a wonderful job last year. Paula Potts on voter registration information, early voting poll greeting. Paula Thede will be sort of a face to volunteers. You will get emails from Paula. Sometimes from Kevin McCaffrey will handle a lot of the tech stuff for us on the back end. Sandra Brody on translation services, who was indispensable to the entire organization last year for many different things, and has assembled quite a great bunch of volunteers herself. Voter advocacy and protection, Diana Gordon, and rolling to the polls, Mary Byrne and Anne de Leon. Have agreed to come back and do it again. Marjorie Hobart also for senior calling, who also has a whole bunch of her own volunteers. Our new vice chair, who was just appointed this evening, well, steering did, but then you guys have seconded it. Brian Marroquin is going to, we've called him voter information outreach. The idea is, with this mission of trying to get deeper into the community, Brian is a native Arlingtonian, Spanish speaker, I believe Guatemala origin, and he will be working tightly with Sandra and with Paula Potts on identifying new places for us to table, places like Mega Mart that was quite successful last year, where people in the community began to look for us there for voter registration. So this is the types of locations that we want to begin adding to our activity, because this is how we get further into the community and let people know that we are what we're doing and get them registered if they need to. So next slide, please. This is our team. Okay, and then, so I just wanted to throw out these deadlines for you guys in case you haven't looked yet. And these are actually regardless, I believe, of any uncertainty over redistricting. Which is looking less like there's uncertainty because it doesn't look like the information is going to be coming in time. Anyway, June 8th primary, which will be for statewide offices, is the deadline for registration is May 17th. And we will begin tabling in April. So, and then after that, we will do registration for the November election and give voting information for the primary. And then we'll resume registration again after Labor Day. I think Anyway, we probably have a little lull in the summer. That's basically what that means to say. Okay, next slide. And so I just want to say, like Carol said, if you would like to help us expand and strengthen our ties to the communities, this is in regard to getting voter registration and information out to people, contact me directly, voter support at arlingtondemocrats.org, or if you're particularly interested in voter registration efforts, voter_registration at arlingtondemocrats.org takes you directly to Paula Potts. So thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you, Marcia. And to just emphasize everything Marcia just said, our voter support team does a fantastic job registering voters. And here in Virginia, we do need to register voters in order to make sure we have Democrats eligible to vote at their current address on these important election days. It's a critical part of the Arlington Democrats mission, and we're really glad to the team. So if you are at all interested in helping voter registration, please reach out to the fantastic voter support team, because as Marcia said, we only have a few months to start registering voters for the June 8th primary, which based off of our votes tonight would be locally the county board position, as well as we have the statewide offices, which you heard from those candidates earlier in the program. So with that, up next, we're going to look beyond Arlington. So the Arlington Democrats have a lot of energy and continuously export it to other jurisdictions to make sure that Democrats win across the Commonwealth and across the country. So Rose Fabia, our great Beyond Arlington chair, what's happening beyond Arlington?
Okay, I need the slide first. Okay, basically, what I first want to say is that we are actually kind of busy right now in the month of February. There was a special election in Senate District 38th, which is the southwest of Southwest Virginia, near the Shenandoah. We have our candidate, Lori Buckwald, who's running for Senator Chaffin's seat. And so right now she's trying to gear up her campaign. I put on the chat her website, because right now what she needs is funding to get her campaign up and running. It's buckwaldforsenate.com. So please consider that. She is, I know that she's going around all of her districts. She's with her specialty is she's an OBGYN specialist. She is well thought of in her area. She's been endorsed by Governor Northam, Senator Kaine, Senator Mark Warner, and the Women's Caucus with the Democratic Party. I think this is going to be an interesting race, and it kind of kicks off 2021. So please, right now, donate to her campaign. As soon as we know about any phone banking in the near future for her campaign, I'll have it on the Beyond Arlington Facebook. So check that. Like Beyond Arlington Facebook, and and you'll find out more about it. And we'll probably, the other thing is we have the Wisconsin Democrats. They're hosting a phone banking event throughout this right now in February through March, all the way up to April. They have spring elections, and right now they're recruiting poll monitors. If you haven't done phone banking before, this is one of the easiest ways to ease into it, because you're calling volunteers, calling seasoned volunteers. It's one of the easiest way to get used to phone banking, because we're going to gear up and do more phone banking under this COVID environment, probably in the spring and the summer. And as we talk about the summer, as Marcia has mentioned, we have a lot of elections to look at. We have all 100 of our delegates are up for re-election. We have a 6-seat majority in the House of Delegates. So we have to make sure they get re-elected, they don't lose their seats, defend them, and also try to flip some Republican seats while we're at it. And then later, we also need to vote and elect our governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general. And that's about it. I did put the website for Buckwald for Senate, and also I put the link if anyone's interested in doing some phone banking for the Wisconsin Democrats. It's very easy and it's a lot of fun, and it's part of their voter protection team. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose, and thank you to everything the Beyond Arlington team has been doing. We've got a lot of work this year with the House of Delegate races. And we're really excited to just see all the places Arlington M's go to help elect Democrats.
Thank you.
So up next, we have our outreach team. And as I promoted earlier, our outreach team has grown exponentially over the past couple of years. So I'd like to turn it over to our great outreach chair, Mike Heminger.
Thank you, Maggie. Good evening, Arlington Democrats. I apologize. As many of you know, my Wi-Fi has been down over the weekend, so I'm on my hotspot. So because of that, I'm also off video, and I'm going to be asking on our wonderful outreach leaders to give their updates. If we can go to the next slide, I believe it's farmers markets. Awesome. Warmer weather is around the corner. And so if you are missing that face-to-face time with people and you're looking to live and uplift, amplify our democratic values, you are someone that I would love to talk to. We have several farmers markets throughout the county. We're going to be programming farmers markets a little bit differently this year. We're really looking for site captains. So if you live in or around any of these locations, or you'd be willing to help the Democratic Party have a public face at these farmers markets, again, would love to chat with you. Feel free to send me an email, outreach@arlingtondemocrats.org, or farmersmarkets@arlingtondemocrats.org. Next slide, please. All right, I'm going to kick it over to Arbra, who's going to talk to us a little bit about all things business. Arbra?
It looks like the labor slide is first, and I think that Keith is on.
Hey, yeah, I'm here. Thanks, everybody. I'm Keith. I'm the chair of the Dems Labor Caucus. Just to let you know what we've been up to. We've been meeting with George Mason officials about some labor law violations going on campus contractors and talking to them about the upcoming Virginia Square project. We held a meeting to discuss a new workplace COVID standards in Virginia, and we're supporting labor organizing and repealing right to work. We always meet on Thursdays at 6 p.m. You can see my email there, and you're always welcome to join us. Thanks.
Okay, I'm sorry. Hi, so on the business side, we are very focused right now on trying to support our Arlington small businesses. And one thing I would request that all of you on the call is maybe next month for the Arlington Dems monthly meeting. If you can afford it, order a meal from a local small business. If you need ideas, reach out, happy to provide some. And then we can all maybe put that in the chat, what we're eating. And also, I'm gonna go a little bit out of order, but next up is Valentine's Day. And we are going to try to promote local small businesses. So we're specifically looking for ideas for florists. We have 3. There may be more in Arlington. So if you know of a florist, please reach out. Chocolate and bakeries, and also, jewelry stores or small boutiques that sell gifts. So Summer, our fabulous comms director, has been great with helping do these social media posts. And we will, after Valentine's Day, kick into helping support our Black-owned small businesses in Arlington, working with Mike and the Black Caucus. So that's a big focus, and really looking for everyone's help on that because there is no comprehensive small business guide. So you can email the businessandlabor@arlingtondemocrats.org, and I will share you on the spreadsheet that we have so far. And we meet every month as a caucus, the second Tuesday of the month. So the Tuesday after our meeting. So next Tuesday at 7 p.m., please join us. Yes, Artisan Chocolates, we did promote them and we'll promote them again. They're fabulous. So yes, Tuesday is February 9th, sorry. Anyway, always Tuesday, 7 p.m., please join us and support your local small businesses any way you can. Thank you.
Thank you, Arbra. We'll hear from Josh next. Go for it, Josh.
Thanks, Mike. Blue Families, I don't know if I might have forgotten to submit detailed slides. Can you, is there a slide next, or is this all I got? There we go. Oh, it's old. Okay. Well, ignore this. Other than the links at the bottom to contact us are still valid. But Blue Families, after taking a couple weeks off, we're about to reboot for the 2021 season of family fun and elections. On the family fun side, we are working on a kid-friendly Zoom event. The trivia contest that we had for the one of the breakout rooms for the inaugural ball was so wildly popular that we are going to do it again, along with some other kid online activities. So stay tuned for that. That'll probably be in early March. And then on the elections front, Rose mentioned Laurie Buchwald's candidacy in the special election in Southwest Virginia. And you will be shocked to hear that we are writing postcards for her. So we have 2,000 addresses, and I just picked up 2,000 postcards. So we'll be circulating for all you postcard writers out there. I'll be check our Facebook page. I'll be circulating a link to sign up for postcards, and it'll be in our email blast as well. So we are dipping our toes back in the water, very slowly, but stay tuned. We're absolutely all in for adopting some House of Delegates, key House of Delegates races, and of course supporting the whole statewide ticket once we have nominees, and we may also look at voter registration in North Carolina and Pennsylvania in anticipation for the all important midterm races. There are some key Senate races there, so a lot on the plate for Blue Families, and we're just getting started. So thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Josh, for all the good work. It's going to be a great year. Next, I want to kick it over to one of our co-chairs for the AAPI caucus, Sangeeta, take it away.
Thanks, Mike. Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well and staying warm. So you know what? I see that this hasn't been updated in terms of the next meeting, but it's always the third Sunday of every month. So we did lose one of our co-chairs this back in January, named Annie Yoon, and we have a new co-chair. Her name is Shivani Sabu. She's actually with the Arlington Young Dems and the Fairfax Young Dems, and I was surprised to learn that they don't really have many caucuses in the Fairfax Dems, or they're just now getting started with the different caucuses with the Fairfax Dems. So she really wanted to. She's Indian like me, and she wanted to get involved in the AAPI community. So I forgot who it was, but someone made an introduction, and I had a nice conversation with her. So she's going to be along with working with me, as well as Angela Kim. So I just want to share. Yes, thanks, Matt. She's the community service director at AYD. So I just wanted to share some of the things that we did in 2020. 500 get out the vote postcards. We had a voter registration event, texting campaigns, nearly a little over 1,600 informational text sent, 500 persuasive text sent. And then for the runoffs, we did 250 postcards. I also wanted to share that Ankith Jain, who worked on a resolution. He's the chair of the Civil Rights Liberty Caucus of the AYD, and he pushed a resolution to reinvest funds in the community to take a small portion of the Arlington police budget and reinvest in social programs that reduce costs of crimes. So we all know, it's good to divest money in other programs rather than heavily putting it into police efforts to stop crime. So next slide. So one of the things that we want to do for this year is we want to return to our focus and core tenets and objectives. This is I'm not going to read it all to you, but basically our objectives are listening, educating, advocating, mobilizing. We really want to get the AAPI community of Arlington involved. There's where I live on Columbia Pike, there's quite a few Indians actually that live in the Barcroft Apartments, which is right across from my building. So I'm going to be reaching out to them in the near future or so. And we just want to connect with AAPI businesses, you know, like a lot of dry cleaners and things like that. And just know that just tell them that we're here and we want to, you know, gain their trust and just build a community and know that they have us as resources. One of the great things about the AAPI community is that I was able to work and use a lot of the resources of the other AAPI communities, or sorry, organizations in the US. So especially with the election year, we had a lot of available translated documents and things like that. So that's it. And our meeting is the 21st at 2 p.m. It's always the third Sunday of every month.
Awesome. Thank you, Sangeeta.
Thanks,
and
Mike.
it's going to be a great year for AAPI Caucus as well. Maya is going to talk to us about Black Caucus and all things Black History Month. Maya, take it away.
Awesome. Yes. So we can go to the next slide. So we over at Black Caucus are celebrating Black History Month. We're 3 days into Black History Month. It is a very important month, and it's a month that we want to celebrate Black excellence and really make sure that we look at the past, but also really embrace the amazing accomplishments that Black people have contributed to the United States, but also to themselves and to culture. And so if we go to the next slide. We have an entire calendar of events. So the Black Caucus really spent a lot of time thinking about how we can really let people in and let them know more about sort of just different Black cultural events. So we have a Black Film Week, and each day we are featuring a Black film that you can find, and that's very easily accessible, that you can either find on like Amazon Prime, or you can find on Hulu, or you can find on Netflix. Or we have left the link of, and so those have been posted to Facebook every single day. And then the next week we'll be featuring art and music, and we'll be doing the same thing. We'll be featuring artists and like actual like painters and other artists throughout the week, so that you can get an idea and like see some new people and maybe be exposed to different artwork that you might not have been exposed to otherwise. Week 3, we are really excited to buy Black and support Black businesses in the DMV. And so we'll be promoting different Black businesses throughout the week and making sure that people can do that. We'll also be having an event on the 19th at 7 p.m. and we will be viewing Walking While Black, and then we will have a discussion following that film. And then in week 4, we will be discussing the Black legacy, and throughout that week we will be highlighting different Black figures inside of Virginia who were trailblazers in their time or who are still trailblazers. We also will be having an event on the 23rd with AYD, and it will be the Black Legacy event. This event will be a combination of a forum as well as just like a different culmination of like videos and other things that we feature throughout the month, but really have been put all together so that we can have a really inspirational moment and really embrace the Black legacy that we have. Yes, there will be a list of Black owned businesses that are shared. We can go to the next slide. And so each of these weeks, like I said, we will be doing all of these different things. I kind of went over that. We will be showing you, we will be uplifting this on social media. So please make sure that you're looking out for it. This week is Black Film Week. And so if we look at Black Film Week, these are all of the amazing people who have contributed to these movies. These are the directors as well as producers. Some of these people are screenwriters. All of them have really been advancing in the film space. And so if we go to the next slide, on Monday, we already featured Littlewoods. If you have not watched it already, go ahead and look out for it. You can find it on Hulu, I believe. And so if you go and you look it up, it's a really cool film. Nia DaCosta is like, she's a groundbreaking producer and director. And so she will be directing the upcoming Captain Marvel movie as the first Black woman and the youngest person to direct a Marvel film. So that is super exciting. We're excited to support her and support her film. Next slide. On Tuesday, we watched Free Angela. Definitely go and check that out. It is an amazing documentary about Angela Davis and her activism and how she was put on the FBI's most wanted list in the 1970s. So it's a great educational film, but also it was directed by Shola Lynch. She is a Black director and filmmaker, and so it's really exciting to be able to support both of these women who are very amazing and who have left great or who continue to give us great legacies. If we go to the next slide. Today, after this meeting, or you could do it later in the week, you should watch Black Klansman if you have not. It is a historical film about an African-American detective who served in the Colorado Springs Police Department. He decided to essentially pretend to be someone he wasn't, and pretend to be a white person in the KKK. It then led to a whole list of events. It's kind of, I would like to say it's almost like a historic comedy. So they definitely have those comedic elements, but it also really allows you to understand a very true story. So definitely check it out. Spike Lee and Jordan Peele both directed and produced this film. They're pretty well known, but if you haven't seen a lot of their movies, definitely check them out. They continue to produce great work. We will be featuring other movies. You can go to the next slide. On Thursday, we'll have a film, and then on Saturday and Sunday, we also will have films that we will put on social media. Definitely check those out. I did not put them on here because I want you to look at our posts, like the post, share the post, get people to watch these movies. But on Friday, I did put it down because we are having a feature film viewing at 7 p.m. with Tell Them We Are Rising. There will not be any sort of talk after it, but we will be airing the film and we will be playing it on Zoom. The event is up on the Facebook page. I can't switch over right now because I'm talking, but maybe Mike, you could drop the link to it. But yes, so this is another film. We'll be watching it. It's about a history of Black colleges and universities in the United States. So HBCUs, really celebrating them. There's a number of HBCUs in the DC area. Obviously, we have Howard, and Stanley Nelson Jr. and Marco Wilson both produced and directed this film. So not only are we uplifting HBCUs, we are also uplifting two amazing directors and producers. Next slide. And I made it through it all. Definitely keep checking us out. Keep looking at everything that the Black Caucus is updating and uploading. And join us for these events. It's really important that we embrace Black culture and we embrace the legacies that people have left for us and make sure that we're really uplifting Black voices so that we can really be the democracy that we aspire to be. All right, I'll give it back to you, Mike.
All right, awesome. Maya, thanks so much. I just want to give you a huge shout out and huge kudos. If you're listening to all of those events, and you appreciate all the work that went into it, throw some love in the chat for Maya. She's done all of this on her own, all the graphics, all the programming. The Black Caucus is small but mighty. So we're looking forward to hosting this month, and we're looking forward to seeing you all as well. Moving on to the Arlington Dems Equality Caucus, is one of our brand new caucuses. If you'd like to join this caucus, you can find it by going to the Arlington Democrats Facebook page, clicking on community, and you'll find a list of all of our groups there. Next slide, please.
And also let me mention the Equality Caucus is going to have a meeting on the 24th, I believe, of February.
Chris, go ahead and take it away with Equality.
Yeah, no worries. I just want to let everyone know, yes, the Equality Caucus, we are going to be having our first meeting February 24th. Please feel free to look up the information. The Facebook link is right there. Also, you can find us at Arlington Dems Equality Caucus on Facebook. That's where we have the most up-to-date information. Please join. It's going to be a wonderful meeting. Great start to this new administration. This administration within the Biden administration will have the most number of LGBTQ people on staff, as well as within it completely, they just nominated the first openly LGBTQ transportation secretary with Pete Buttigieg. And so we're really excited to keep that work going and to keep that visibility. So thank you all so much for, being here today. And we hope that, to see you soon on the 24th. And thank you so much, Mike, for letting me speak a little bit on that.
Just one note, that's also steering committee meeting night.
Oh, the 24th? Oh, wait, hold on.
Yep, you're right. I think the meeting is at 6 and then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great call out, Craig. Thank you.
There might be, so there might be time in between. But please, let's see, let me make sure it's on the, so just everything is on the Facebook. That's probably the best way to get in contact with us as well, other than the email. So we're excited to be meetings at 6, February 24th. I know there's going to be great involvement. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Chris. All right, next slide, please. We heard from our Labor Caucus, so we can keep things moving along. All right, awesome. I want to kick it over to Dan, who's one of our co-chairs for disabilities. Dan?
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Mike. Basically, here's the information on how to sign up for our Facebook group or to be in touch with the Disabilities Caucus. We are off to a busy start in the new year. You can go next slide now. In the previous meeting, we had day after Inauguration Day, we had a thoughtful discussion on the COVID-19 vaccination and current distribution process, which is particularly vital for people with disabilities and chronic conditions, as well as family caregivers. And there were some particular issues which were being surfaced, and we had a couple of advocates on who were specifically working that issue. And our understanding is that between that and some activity on our caucus page, some progress has been made in terms of getting some of the family caregivers who are eligible for the vaccine but had been having trouble getting it to actually get it. And there was some constructive engagement with public officials. So we were very excited about that. In upcoming events, we are planning candidate forums for the primaries in the 47th and 49th House of Delegates districts. We are anticipating holding these after the current session, and questions will involve disability issues and essentially give us an opportunity to learn more about what what in their experience or in their work is going to make them the strongest candidates to serve people with disabilities. So we have agreement from both the incumbents and the challengers, and we're just in the process of getting dates together. We expect that the debate between Delegate Hope and Matt Rogers will probably be the first of the two. So look for more information from us about that. We also are still working on planning a healthcare event. Feel free to email Mike Angeloni or myself if you have any questions or any ideas for a healthcare forum. And we expect in our next regular meeting to also discuss some of the appointments and some of the early issue advocacy that has been going on, including raising the wage for people with disabilities, eliminating sub-minimum wages. So we look forward to your participation in the future, and don't hesitate to be in touch if you have any questions or if you have issues to suggest. Thank you very
Dan.
much.
Thank you,
I'll
Dan.
toss
Thank
it
you,
back to
Mike, for all the good work that you're doing. I'm so proud of all the efforts that you're leading. I look forward to the events and the candidate forum and debate. So thank you. Moving things along to the next caucus, I'm going to introduce Fatima. Fatima, tell us what's going on with Interfaith.
Okay, thanks, Mike. I'm going to keep my, I'm also going to keep my video off tonight because looks like I'm being told I have an unstable internet connection and I don't want to be left mid-sentence. So I'll just go through quickly what, you know, now these slides are old, so I won't speak to those, but I'll speak instead to some of what, just quickly what we've done last year. As you, a lot of you may know who, many of you who have attended our events, we pulled off 3 fantastic issues forums having to do with hate and hate speech, a lot of them, you know, about very timely topics, the census. And and we also put together 2 very important events, our signature Interfaith EAT event, which is in 2021, and yes, we're going to do it again this year, will be the 4th successive annual Interfaith Arlington Dems Interfaith EAT event, and hopefully this one will be different. They're all different, and we try to keep it that way. We try to keep it interesting, add new speakers, add new you know, features to the program. This year we'll be doing something that'll incorporate more family programming. But that's not going to be until August. So what I'll do instead is speak to some of the programs we'll be doing this year. Last year we did a lot of issues forums and we did a lot of, you know, we did a lot of holiday programming. The last one being the event for Diwali, Christmas, and Hanukkah. And if you haven't caught that already, that is on our, you know, on our Facebook group page. We invite you to become a member of the Facebook group page. We are up to 250 members at this point. So not bad, you know, for starting last April and growing. And, you know, a lot of wonderful articles on there about what's going on with interfaith engagement. One of the other things we do, we also include a lot of articles about refugees, because it's one of the activities that Interfaith does is to work with refugees, and it's one of the issue areas that we'll be engaging in more this year. Now that we have a new administration that is a little more friendly towards these topics. So where I'm going with all of this is basically saying that we did some terrific stuff last year. A lot of it was a lot of fun. A lot of it was very engaging. We're going to take all of that and do that again. And then we're going to add a huge dose of advocacy to that. What does that mean? We're going to be still doing the issues forums, discussing issues affecting faith groups, immigrants, refugees, and, you know, and drive engagement to drive activism to engage in public policy. We'll also be doing some advocacy and, you know, influencing policy on the federal and state level on social justice issues. What does that mean? On the federal level, as I said, we'll be working on immigration and refugee asylum and asylum policies. On the state level, we'll be working to, you know, with the Virginia General Assembly to end capital punishment. extend the moratorium on rent evictions, support mental health services, and criminal justice reform, in addition to the repealing the right to work law. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. One of the other things we'll be trying to do is working on providing a little bit more support to our interfaith communities. You know, in previous years, we did provide support when, you know, things happened that, you know, they were under attack for, you know, either, you know, literally or, you know, physically or, you know, or figuratively. And to just, you know, just being there, letting them know that, you know, we're on their side and that they're not alone. And I think that makes all the difference. I think that's it. We have a meeting every week. Our weekly meetings are on Sundays at 1 p.m. Please reach out to me. I'll put my my email in the chat, and we will be planning some really creative programming this spring. There are so many holidays coming up, and I think it's going to be, we've got Buddhist, well, I'll just list them real quickly. We've got Buddhist Lunar New Year, St. Valentine's Day, Mardi Gras, Lent, Purim, St. Patrick's Day, Passover, Easter, and Ramadan. Okay, is that enough for you? So we got a lot to work with, and really excited about working with my amazing team to put some creative programming together and continue to bring our communities together. So thank you, Mike. I'm gonna give it back to
Thank you, Fatima. Good work. All right, two more folks, and we're done with outreach. Chris, tell us about Latino Caucus.
Yes, thank you so much, Mike. Latino Caucus, this month we are holding our meeting February 13th at 10 a.m. To celebrate, you know, Black History Month. Latino, oh, this is a bug. The Latino community has such a huge Afro-Latino community. According to the Pew Research Center, over 25% of Latinos identify as Afro-Latino. So it's a very, very huge part of not only our culture, but our religion and everyday lifestyle that we have. So every week we will be posting an Afro-Latino positive post featuring a person with Afro-Latino descent and so forth. So we're really excited about that. We had a wonderful month last month as well. We partnered with Blue Community Corps as well as the Biden Inaugural Committee with donations. We did the donations with yes, there it is, Happy Black History Month. And as you can see, so many different people who have influenced and definitely created American culture and elevated it way above the means to the world. You know, as you see, Celia Cruz was a proud Afro-Latina, you know, from Cuba. Cardi B is Dominican. Huge impact within our pop culture and community. And there you have Rosie Perez. This is just some of the many people who have influenced our society, especially our American culture. And so thank you all for that. Is there another, what's the next slide on it? Oh yes, February 13th meeting, we will have 3 guest speakers. We have school board person, Cristina Diaz Torres, and we also have the past school board representative, Tania Talento, and we will have the county board member, Takis Carantones, coming with us to speak with us a little bit about, you know, activism in our community, what they, you know, the plans they have for the future of Arlington, everything wonderful with that. So please sign up February 13th to 10 a.m. Facebook page, as always, is the best information to get it. If you are on our email list, you should also be getting kind of a follow-up email, just kind of as a reminder as to this meeting's coming up. So we're super excited to have you all, and thank you all so much. I think that's it for my presentation.
Thank you, Chris. As you can see, all of our caucuses, whether they're issue or identity-based constituency-focused groups, are really, really busy. The last one I want to talk to you about is just our MilVets caucus. John, you want to tell us about what's going on with military and veterans affairs?
Yeah, hey, thanks, Mike. Good evening, everybody. Start off, our next meeting is going to be, we usually do our meetings the fourth Saturday of the month. So our next one will be on the 27th at 10 a.m. And you can find the link to the meeting on our Facebook page. I'll get that up later tonight. And so first off, I want to thank everybody who contributed food for our food drive for the Martin Luther King Day of Action. We collected 1,160 pounds of food. So you can see that picture right there, 2 pallets full for the Arlington Food and Assistance Center. And we'll be doing another food drive. We usually do those the second Saturdays of the month. That'll be on February 13th. So we're going to do it a little differently. We've been in the past just going straight to the AFAC. For this one, we're going to start just having a drop-off site where one or more of us will be there to collect food. If anyone wants to drop anything off, canned goods, non-perishables, at the Barcroft Family Community Center. You can see the address right there. I'll also have that posted up on our Facebook page. Drop off food between 9:45 and 10:45 a.m. And then those of us who are there will run it over to the center. Also, want to thank Mike and the Black Caucus for helping us co-host a joint forum on the first Black Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, who has recently been confirmed. So that was a great event, and thanks to everyone who attended. And that's all I've got tonight. Just we're open to everybody. You don't have to be a veteran or active duty military. Just anyone interested in supporting our caucus, and welcome you to join us. You can reach out to our organizational email or join our Facebook group. And thanks, Mike. Back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Just before we go on to talk about the Women's Caucus, I just want to say I'm extraordinarily proud of all the efforts that the MilVets Caucus has done. For many months now, they've been donating hundreds of pounds of food. So thank you. And Lisa Backer, I know you're hiding in the shadows. Thank you for getting that video up on YouTube. If you want to catch a replay of the forum we held that John talked about, feel free to check out our YouTube channel. We're currently looking for some folks to take on leadership roles in the Women's Caucus. If you're interested, feel free to send an email to the email address on your screen or reach out to me personally. Thank you all so much, Arlington Democrats. I'm going to kick it back to you, Maggie.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you to our fantastic outreach team. I told you guys they were doing a lot, and can never miss a shout out to the great Lisa Backer, the tech director, who's been putting links to all of the Facebook groups for these caucuses in the chat. So if you're interested in joining, just click the link and please join. So up next, I realize that our slide deck is slightly outdated from the agenda. So what this should be is our finance director for a finance report. So our finance director, Liz.
Hi, Maggie. Yeah, I didn't actually submit a slide. So just pretend it says finance there. Thank you. Wow, it's hard to find. It's hard to follow the outreach committee and Mike and all his great colleagues. Thank you for your tremendous activities. So I just wanted to say that, well, first of all, thank you to all of you for your financial support in 2020 that made for a successful year in November. It was a weird fundraising year, right? Because we had very few in-person activities. 2021 is unfortunately shaping up similarly. So we are doing our planning again to do virtual activities, which not everybody's first choice, but we will carry on. So a couple of things I wanted to highlight. First of all, if you are interested in getting something to commemorate the election of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and you haven't yet done so, we still have inauguration swag materials available. And I just wanted to show everybody the fantastic car flag that is available, either as part of our inaugural swag pack or separately on its own. It's really pretty stupendous. It's almost 12 inches by I think 10 inches. It's really impressive, and you can attach it to your car window or display it anywhere else. So these are still available. We'll put the link in the chat. Happy to sell a few more of those if folks are interested. The other thing I wanted to mention is that we will have a virtual event coming up for our Roosevelt Obama Society members. Those are folks who very generously give a monthly contribution, usually from a credit card, to provide ongoing sustaining support to the party. Usually we meet in person, but again, because of the pandemic, we have an event scheduled now for Saturday, March 13th. We will have an 11 a.m. coffee with Jessica Post, who is the president of the Democratic Legislative Campaign Committee. And they are the organization, really the only organization in the country that focuses on electing Democrats to state legislatures. Because we all know that taking back our country often means taking back our state legislatures, which is something that Virginia Democrats have done in the last 2 years. Because Virginia has off-year state elections, we will be trying to preserve our majority in the State House of Delegates this year, and electing another Democratic governor. And so Jessica will be joining us to talk about how we keep Virginia blue. And as you know, Virginia is always looked at as a bellwether state for trends, for additional election, for national elections in 2022. So good stuff to come from Jessica, and folks who are Roosevelt Obama Society members will be getting information about how to sign up for the Zoom on, again, Saturday, March 13th at 11 a.m. So that's it. Thanks, Maggie.
All right, thank you, Liz. And to reiterate, we'll put in the chat, if you are not yet a Roosevelt Obama Society member, please consider joining if you're financially able. The Roosevelt Obama Society members really do help us meet kind of the basic democratic organizing needs of both Arlington and across the Commonwealth. You've heard a lot tonight about work we do beyond Arlington, work we do here in Arlington, and we really do rely on the support of our great members to do so. So please consider joining the Roosevelt Obama Society. And if you do not yet have one of those nice swag packages from the inauguration, consider getting one of those as well. So with that, moving on to the next item of the agenda, one of our best partners here in the Arlington Dems, and a group close to my heart personally, is the Arlington Young Democrats. So am I passing this to Mike or to Matt?
I think you're passing it to me, unless Mike is interrupting me.
Go for it.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for that introduction, Maggie. And of course, we would also like your money too. So if you're going to make some donations, make some to the Arlington Young Democrats as well. That'd be great. We've been pretty busy in January. So if you want to go to the first slide here, we participated in VAYD's, or Virginia Young Democrats' Lobby Day, which we always do on Martin Luther King Jr. Weekend. We were, of course, not able to go down to Richmond this year, but we did it virtually, and a bunch of us met with a lot of our local delegates and state senators, asking them to champion some of the bills that we wanted to see passed. We've seen a lot of ours go through the House and the Senate, so we're feeling pretty good about that. Of course, some of those things are not, some of the things have not been as successful as we wanted to be, but we will keep pressing on nonetheless. If you go to the next slide. We also participated in MLK Day of Service. So our new community service director, Shivani, made a great effort to make sure that all of our folks knew how to get involved during the MLK Day of Service. As you can see, we helped out Bridges to Independence, collecting some household items that they needed, and then dropping them off down at the collection sites around Arlington. So that was a great effort. So thank you for that, Shiv. Next slide. We also had the 2021 inauguration celebration, which we partnered with you all, which was very successful. Really happy about that. We had on Senators Tim Kaine and Mark Warner, as well as Congressman Don Beyer. It was very well put together. Props to Mike Heminger for putting that all together. He did a great job. Had nothing but good feedback from folks on how that went. So a great way to kick off with the new administration. So next slide, please. We also had our AYD caucus reorganization. We had some of our statewide candidates come and speak to us, Senator Jennifer McClellan, as well as Lieutenant Governor candidates Sean Perryman and Xavier Warren stopped by to give us some of their thoughts on how the races are going. And then we also got to talk about our new caucus structure. So usually at our first meeting of the year, we will be talking, we have been talking about our caucuses, which we do issue-based caucuses. And then we talk about what our policy platform would be for that year based on those issues. So if you go to the next slide. These are our caucuses as they stand right now. We've changed some things up, moved some words around. So we have arts, culture, and entertainment, health and education, housing, environment, and infrastructure, immigration, justice, civil rights and liberties, labor, commerce, tech and finance, and veterans and foreign affairs. So we are going to be naming our caucus chairs here in the next few days. So keep an eye out for that. So we'll be adding some new folks to the AYD leadership, but very happy with how this all went down. And we're really excited to get to work on these specific issues. Next slide. This month, we are also celebrating Black History Month. We will be celebrating Black excellence at our social hour. We're going to be reviewing some short films and having some discussions around that based on what the audience is experiencing during that time. It's going to be very engaging conversation with young folks. So really excited to see how that goes. Next slide. And then of course we will be having our monthly meeting, which will be the AYD Black Legacy Forum, which we will have 2 speakers. Hopefully we're waiting on the second one. But the first we'll be having Adele McClure, who is the Virginia Legislative Black Caucus Executive Director. She'll be coming and talking to us. She's also an Arlington Young Dem, so we're really happy to have her in our ranks. And we will be very, we'll be excited to see if folks want to join us during that and talk some legislation with Adele and hopefully hear from some more folks. So with that, that's all I had. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you to everything the Arlington Young Democrats are doing. If you are or know someone between the ages of 18 and 36, please consider checking out the Arlington Young Dems. They are a fantastic partner, and as you can see, doing a lot of great work as well. Up next, we're really glad to be joined by the chair of the Arlington County Board. Every other meeting, we have a report from the county board. This month is the county board report. Next month is the school board. So I would like to turn the chair over to Chair Matt DeFerranti.
Thank you, Maggie, and thanks to everyone who's still here, all 80 of us, 81 of us. I would just like to thank you for the opportunity to serve you. I'm going to run through the issue that is biggest on everyone's minds, and that is with the slides starting with vaccine distribution, which is on the next slide. We had a work session yesterday where we, and I will post it through my social media, but also certainly you can easily find it on Arlington's Arlington TV. But we talked about this slide and that number on the right. We've got now 96.8% of the doses that first doses that we've received. And so that is important to understand. Our problem is the supply of vaccines. I know most everybody here has been following it either online or via the posts in print or however you get your news. We are so eager to get more doses so that we can serve more Arlington residents. That number of doses that you see, 7,875, that's the number of doses that Arlington County has received. Everybody knows that Virginia Hospital Center has also received a large number of doses. The state changed mid-course from giving doses to hospitals and counties to just giving to counties like our local health district. So going forward, Arlington County is receiving all of the doses, and we're getting 97% essentially out the door. That you probably have seen. I've talked about how we could do 14,000 a week, and right now we are just receiving 3,000. So I've been on the phone with the governor's chief of staff, and all of our board has been advocating through letters and conversations with our legislators and also to the governor himself to try and get more doses. The problem is across the entire state of Virginia, the phase of vaccine distribution that we're in, 1B, includes about half of Virginians. So you can do the math, 3,000 doses per week when approximately 90 to 100,000 Arlingtonians are eligible in category 1B. We just don't have enough doses, so we have to keep working to get more. There is hope through the Biden administration's statements, but we have, even with a 15% bump, we're still not getting where we would like to be. So I will go to the next slide and describe more. This is the central focus of all of us. The details of this, I really want, there's one number in this slide that I want everyone to take with them, and that is the phone number 703-228-7999. Perhaps someone can just help by throwing it in the chat. That number we have ramped up so we have ample call takers, people who will answer that phone and get you the background that you need. They will not tell you you can immediately get a vaccine. They will tell you if you're eligible, if you're 75 or older, or in one of 4 categories within 1B, they will help you there. And they will also provide answers to your questions. But I don't want to leave any impression that we through that number, you can find a way to jump ahead. We're all eager to get vaccines. I personally have not gotten one because I am at the bottom of category 1B in the continuity of government part of it. The first 4 categories are your police, fire, your shelter workers, homeless shelter workers, that is, and then pre-K to 12. Those are half of the doses that we're allocating at the moment, and above 75 of the other half. Since all of you follow things so closely, you'll know that the governor talked about over 65. Well, we happen to have more Arlingtonians over 75 than we currently have been able to schedule appointments for. So we're working nonstop. And part of that work involves calling every single senior over the age of 75 who signed up for an appointment with Virginia Hospital Center and rescheduling them. So we're working hard, and we're also mindful that there's much, much more work to do. The problem the relationship we have with Virginia Hospital Center can work, but the rescheduling problem that we've had, the other localities are facing a similar challenge with Inova. So this slide essentially shows you that you have a resource, and if you have questions, call that number, please. Next slide. This just talks about the number of cases. In my opening remarks for the year at the county board, I described what I see as we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but we just don't know exactly how long until we get to that light. And so This shows that we've seen an uptick the last 2 or 3 days. We've actually slowly seen a slight moderation and even a decline in our test positivity rate and our number of cases. That's hopeful, but we know that there are variants of the disease of COVID out there. So we are eager to get as many people vaccinated as possible. That's the focus of what we're doing. The rest of my slides will describe a little more briefly other things that we're working on. You can always reach me if you have questions. My email's right on the county board website, and you can reach out to any board member on these topics. So vaccine distribution, yes, we need to continue to ramp up. Part of the challenge here is getting more doses, which we are working hard on as well. The next slide shows you the Syphax Center. That picture on the bottom left, if you haven't been to our COVID-19 FAQs, they're the best resource for you. That picture is from Saturday, where I spent about 4 hours thanking those who were able to come. We did about 700 plus vaccines on Saturday because we knew the snow was coming on Monday. We were open again yesterday. Today, we're doing about 600 or so vaccine doses per day. So next slide. This is a huge issue for us. We've been working hard. We put over 7 million into helping more than 3,000 Arlington residents, Arlington households with their rent to prevent evictions. Great to see President Biden extend the moratorium to March 31st. But that number right there, if you know someone who's having trouble paying rent, then use that number, 703-228-1300. Next slide. Tonight, I was on a call. We are continuing, as President Obama used to say, to walk and chew gum at the same time. And so we're continuing the work on missing middle housing types. That policy work is very important for housing affordability, which of course is huge to all of us as we think about the economic ladder, but particularly important, of course, to many young Democrats that I've listened to and engaged with over the past years, who all of us might be hoping to work our way towards buying a place, and housing affordability and missing middle is a key part of it. There's an opportunity tomorrow night if you want to join at 7 o'clock, when we will be listening and having an engaging there. Next slide. This is next slide. This is just talking about our board meeting. We did some work to help with the Pike and also improve our bike connectivity. Boundary Channel Drive, that's a picture of some of the work we did. This is the block and tackle important work that is good government that may not rise to the level of the soaring campaigns that so many of us have worked on, but it is super important. Next slide. This is a bike expansion of Columbia Pike Bridge. We've invested huge investments in Columbia Pike over the last years, and over the last year in particular, and this will make it safer for bikers and safer for pedestrians on Columbia Pike Bridge. Next slide. This actually, this item is fitting that we are going to be taking it up for final consideration this month in February. Mount Salvation Baptist Cemetery is near one of the two strongest historically community center Black churches in the Halls Hill community. And many of you may know Scott Taylor, who's the head of the Arlington Black History Museum. And this is his church. It is an opportunity to save and preserve one of the real centers of the community. And many of you may have read My Halls Hill Family, which describes this church and how on Fridays for over a half century, this was a center, and we want to preserve it so that all Arlingtonians better know African-American history in Arlington. And so this is something we'll consider, and it's really an important part of our work. Next slide. And then this lastly, generally we are going to need economic growth to invest in housing, education, and all of our shared priorities. This is a fairly large project in Roslyn that is important because it has on-site affordable units. That's a key. There's also significant investments in transportation. So with that, I believe that's the last slide. And I will just encourage you to continue to engage with your county board. It is an honor to serve you and an honor to be an Arlington Democrat.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you for the work you and all of the board have been doing. I know you've been chair for a little over a month, and it has been quite a month to step into those shoes. And we really appreciate you coming every other month to tell the Arlington Democrats the work you and the county board colleagues are doing.
Thank you. Happy to.
All right, with that, we are getting close to the end of the meeting. As far as upcoming events, I will mea culpa and say that Jill does a lot of behind the scenes work. And so we are missing the extra reminders of all of the great events we've told you about. So I'm going to try and run through it and add links to the chat just to remind everyone of a packed agenda we have here for the month of February with the Arlington Dems. So coming up first, we have just some background information about the bylaws proposal we talked at the beginning of the meeting. The vote on that proposal will be next meeting, so the March monthly meeting. There's a link there if you're interested in the text. Some more links to the Great Black History Month events that Maya had talked about, particularly Black Film Week and the We Are Rising event. We've got a couple caucus meetings. The Labor Caucus has a meeting. There's also a Veterans Caucus meeting that I think I missed the link further up. So I'll see if I can bring that in. And then we've got 2 different open houses this month. One is our annual prospective candidate open house, and the second is the new volunteer open house. So we have a jam-packed February planned. We even have some events planned for March. Liz talked about the Roosevelt Obama Society event with Jessica Post. So last plug, if you are not yet a member of the Roosevelt Obama Society, you have about a month to sign up to become a member and join that great event with Jessica Post, the head of the DLCC. So with that, I think that gets us to the end of the meeting in our agenda. Thank you everyone for joining the Arlington Democrats February meeting. Rest assured, I think Jill is back next month. Thank you for sticking with me. And I hope you all have a safe and happy evening.
Good job, Maggie.